When a person violates a temporary order of protection, what advice can you give to me? Did you have any orders of protection? I haven't heard you say anything about orders of protection.
Yeah, I had one issued against me.
Oh my goodness.
That's what actually led to the publication on the writ petition. But so I guess this is from the other side. She has the temporary protective order against the other person and they violated it. Well, the response would be you can use that violation against them to get the extended protection order. That's actually one of the things you can do in Nevada. So you have to show in Nevada either that you actually are a victim of domestic violence or that there is a potential that domestic violence might one day occur. And that's what my ex got me on, because she didn't have any proof that I did anything because I didn't do anything. But in your situation, because you have a violation of a temporary order, as far as I know in Nevada and hopefully in all the other states, that counts as a basis to extend the order, so you can use that to extend the order.
Yes, and Arizona too. And actually, when there is an order of protection in place, as it relates to a child custody case, there is a presumption that's triggered that joint decision making is not in the best interest of the child. And there's certain things that the parent who has the order of protection against them has to do to rebut that presumption. So pay close attention to that. When I was a green attorney, somehow I missed that presumption and we went to court. My client didn't do anything to rebut it, and the court couldn't give joint decision making, joint custody at the time, because my client didn't do the batterers prevention program or anger management classes. So I am always very aware, and I tell anybody who has an order of protection against them, make sure that you do what the statute tells you to do if you're in Arizona, if you want to rebut that presumption. Otherwise, the judge can't.
I used to be such a big fan of behavioral orders, and I started to really, the problem is that for me, my perspective is that that's a problem with that parent's duty to protect, that they don't have that protective instinct. And for me, it would be a custody modification issue. And I often tell people, if it's not enough to modify custody, just leave it alone. And issues like this that are really serious, sometimes the judges just say, oh, well, you know what, I'm going to order that they don't have to, the children are not to go to grandma's house because there's addicts there. And then all the parent starts to do is just abuse or neglect the kids or put them in situations with other people or other circumstances come up. And I'll tell people, ask for both, try to modify custody and ask for a behavioral order, but definitely stress to the judge that, this isn't something that you can be on top of all the time. And if they're doing something like this now, it's going to keep happening, or it could potentially keep happening. And I don't know about you, but I used to be such a big fan of behavioral orders. And as of the last year and a half, I started to change my mind and be more in favor of just modify it, because some of this stuff is just awful.
It is. It really is. Well, it's hard with behavioral orders to enforce.
You can't police the parents. Right. That's the problem.
That is.
There was a case here where a woman got with a guy who was convicted of murder. And the judge did the right thing in this case. She's like, I'm not going to tell you to keep the guy away from him. I'm just going to take away all your custody.
Yeah.
Because, how can you watch something like that all the time? You can't be there living in their house telling them as a judge, don't do this, don't do that, don't do this. It comes down to you just can't be trusted to make the right choices.
Well, in that case, that's what I'd say it boils down to. If the children are truly the priority, then I would think that the murderer needs to be kicked to the curb.
Yeah, this particular judge cited as the basis specifically that the mother didn't even tell the father, which implies that maybe had she told him and they discussed it and worked out hey, is this what happened? What are the circumstances? But this mom kept it secret, and that was part of. In the end, I'm much more in favor of that now. I'm just not a behavioral order guy anymore, because I went through that in my case, 3, 4, 5, 6 orders, and my ex didn't care. Just found something new to do.
Yeah. You got a good perspective. You have a lot of experience with a lot of different things in the family court system, orders of protection, appeals, all of these things.